Welcome back to the Leadership Lab, the place where we help your brain work with you instead of against you. Today, we are talking about something way too many high achievers, high performers, and leaders out there wear like a badge of honor. We're talking about burnout. You know, that lovely state where you're somehow exhausted, overwhelmed, behind on everything, and still convinced that you should still be doing more. Yeah, we're going there. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It is something that can be prevented. And honestly, if you want to be a better leader, make a bigger impact, achieve higher, do more, we're going to get rid of burnout. This is part one of a three-part series. And today we're building awareness of burnout. Why am I experiencing burnout? This is the introduction to the burnout portion of the Leadership Lab series. And building awareness is important because you can't solve a problem you don't fully recognize. All right. So get comfortable, lean in, go grab your coffee, go grab your journal, or go grab some tea, go grab your emotional support water bottle, and let's make your brain click. Welcome to the Leadership Lab. Let's jump in. So, burnout usually comes from a bunch of different places. Like, there's literally rarely one single reason for burnout. A lot of times it's a combination of different things, and then they start compounding over time, stacking on top of each other. And hey, maybe your burnout is one thing, but I want to go over a list. We're going to go over 11 common roots for burnout, and some of them stack on top of each other. Some of them might be the culprit all by themselves. All right. In this video, the goal is not to diagnose yourself, but it is to help you to realize and notice which areas are causing the most burnout for you right now. So, disclosure before every video I do is just a reminder, this is not about blame, personal failure. It's not a character flaw. It's not a diagnosis. This is information to help you gain some awareness in your personal life and gain some control back so that you can bloom and elevate and make a bigger impact for the people around you. But we got to start with ourselves. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the root causes for burnout. Number one, lack of boundaries. Say no, set some boundaries, protect your time. Don't just overextend yourself in situations because you're afraid to set a boundary. And full reminder is that a boundary is what you will do in the event that something does or does not occur. A boundary is how you will respond or you will treat yourself. So setting your boundaries are important. So what do I mean by that though? A boundary is not, you need to stop doing that. It's, if you continue doing this, I will leave. It's full responsibility and full accountability and fully your job to distance or walk away from a certain situation if it occurs, if it treads on your values or your standards or your energy or your time. It is not controlling other people and it is not being extremely rigid. So do not abuse boundaries. But a lack of boundaries and overexerting yourself is how you end up burnt out. You end up with resentment. You end up overwhelmed because there's a boundary that was never set or never held. Sometimes we set boundaries and we don't follow through on them. So you staying extra hours, overexerting yourself is not as like much of a flex as you think. It's the absence of a clear stopping point. Sometimes you have to leave when the job is done, when the clock has stopped, when the shift is over. Protect yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally so that when you come back the next day, you have much more quality and meaningful energy to put toward that work that you care about so much. So if you don't have the capacity to take on additional tasks, don't do it. If you don't have the capacity to commit yourself to a hangout this weekend, don't do it. You don't have to. And understand that boundaries aren't always just with other people. Sometimes you need boundaries with yourself. You need to know when enough is enough with yourself. So in that journal you grabbed, I want you to write down, where in your life do you feel like you notice yourself saying yes when you actually want to say no? Or overexerting yourself, overcommitting yourself when you know good and well that you'd actually operate at a higher level if you preserved your energy. I actually could show up much better if I stopped when I said I would stop. You not having boundaries on your time, your emotions, your physical capacity has repercussions. And one of the main ones is burnout. So I just scrolled back to the proper slide. I've been off this slide, so sorry, guys. Anyway, moving on. Number two, not acknowledging your milestones. You need to pay attention, not need, let's reframe. It would serve you well to acknowledge your milestones and your contributions. I highly encourage that you notice your milestones, your accomplishments, your achievements, your progress. You feel burnt out sometimes because you're not noticing the amount of value or contribution you have made to your journey or to others. It goes unseen. And if it's unseen by others and you know how that feels, well, then think about what subconsciously it does to you when you don't acknowledge your own milestones, your own progress. It's okay to acknowledge yourself. And sometimes we don't do that because of cultural expectations, or we were taught you need to be humble, or we were taught, I'm a high performer, I am a high achiever, so I did what I was supposed to do. Why would I stop and acknowledge how well I did it? That's the way it should have been done. Trust me, I get it. But just acknowledge yourself, give yourself a little praise, a little something, something. There's nothing wrong with that. So many high achievers miss this mark, and then you end up burnt out from it, whether you recognize it or not. So, in your journal, I want you to write down when's the last time you actually paused and absorbed what you just did. You paused and you were able to take in the progress. You paused and you were able to notice, ooh, I made it one step further. I made it 2% further. I'm able to clock it. I know what I did well. I noticed my strength. I know what I contributed to this. I see what I just did added some value. Again, it's not to brag on yourself, but it's to remind yourself, come on now, I know who I am. Acknowledge these milestones before moving on to the next task. Otherwise, you're just going to be stacking up things and tasks and all the time. And eventually that's going to catch up to you. And you don't want to end up feeling resentment or lack of self-worth or lack of self-esteem or burnout because you think it's go, 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 but it's never go, break, praise, go, 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 praise, go, go, break, praise, go, 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 praise, right? Okay. Anyway, number three, quality of your relationships impacts burnout. You need to do an assessment of the quality of your relationships, whether you're at work, with your family, with your friends, okay? Being around individuals that dysregulate your nervous system. So being around people that you don't feel safe or secure around, you shut down around them, you feel like you're reactive around them, pay attention to that. Being around people who don't value you, pay attention to that. Being around people who drain you, pay attention to that. Being around people and you feel like you're not around anyone, you just still feel alone in a room full of people, pay attention to that. Acknowledge the quality of your relationships. Your relationships have more to do with your well-being than you might think. And it's not that we need to rely on other people to feel good about ourselves. That's not what we're saying. Okay. It's no one's job to do that for us but ourselves. But we're interconnected. We're humans. So be around people who value you. Be around people you feel calm, motivated, energized around. Be around people you feel inspired by. Be around people who are doing what you're doing, who believe in what you believe in. And I know this is a little more difficult in the workplace because you can't choose your coworkers, but when it comes to our quality of relationships in the workplace, practice your communication skills, practice expressing yourself, practice setting boundaries. That will preserve the quality of a relationship. Whether you get along or not is a whole nother story. It's work. I get it. But if you can actually improve the relationship by improving your communication with that person, working on your own patience, making sure that you come to work for a goal rather than for gossip time or to get into conflicts with people, staying focused on the task at hand, you can improve your relationships. Okay. So just be mindful of that in all of your relationships. And yes, your relationships outside of work impact your relationships at work. Yes, your friendships impact your relationships at home. Yes, your relationship at home impacts these relationships, that relationships. Pay attention to the quality of your relationships, period. Next is self-awareness. When we experience burnout, sometimes it's because we're not self-aware. We're not paying attention to how to regulate ourselves. We don't even know how to describe our own internal state. I can't even describe what I'm feeling right now. You're feeling burnt out because you're responding to people in this really reactive way when really you're just anxious and you're hurt. But because you don't know what you're feeling, you don't know how to name your emotions, you're not aware of how you respond to certain situations. Now you're snapping on people and you're being short and you're being cold and you come off rude and you seem angry. But underneath it all, if you really became a little more self aware, you'd realize, oh, that hurt my feelings. I feel a little sad. I feel a little anxious. I feel a lot of pressure on me. Low self awareness is risky business. So, becoming familiar with yourself and do the work to do it. Learn the language, learn how to identify what's happening within yourself. So, I want you to journal out. How do you know when you're dysregulated, when your mood has changed? And do you know why it changed? Do you know why you responded that way? Do you know what made you feel triggered? What happens in your body when this happens? What happens to your thinking when this happens? How do you start acting when this happens? Get familiar with yourself. The next reason that you might be experiencing burnout is because you're constantly in survival mode, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, one step at a time. I can't plan my future because I have to tackle the beast that's right in front of me every single day. There's a threat, there's a risk. I'm reactive, I'm shut down, I'm avoidant, I'm over explaining, over justifying. Come out of survival mode, slow down, and learn that being this level of vigilant all the time is exhausting. It is exhausting you emotionally, physically, psychologically. Come out of survival mode. And if you need some help doing that, go ahead and sign up for my course, Gears of Joy, okay? Or set up a one-on-one session with me. We will get you out of survival mode. It's no shame, it's no blame, but let's move, okay? Next are your personal beliefs. What do you believe about yourself? What's your self-worth look like? How are you speaking to yourself? What do you believe about the world around you? How are you interpreting everything around you? Those sneaky little thoughts will cause you to be burnt out. One, because sometimes they're not even true, they're not even real. We're feeling pressed about situations we've made up in our head, or we're relating to a past experience, but this is a whole new person or a whole new environment. Maybe it's our beliefs we have about ourselves. We think we're not supposed to be here. We're supposed to shrink. We're not supposed to speak up. Maybe we believe we should be controlling other people. And when people aren't responsive, we get offended. There's so many other personal beliefs that make us feel burnout. Sometimes we have beliefs about, well, if I take a nap or if I rest, that means I'm lazy. Sometimes you have a belief, well, if I notice my milestones, then that means I'm not humble and I'm arrogant. Sometimes we have beliefs, I should constantly be working and being productive. Otherwise, I bring no value. I want you to journal out, what beliefs do you have that you're continuing to believe and operate in that you've actually never questioned? You just have believed it and thought about it. I want you to get curious on that. Another reason we experience burnout is lack of proactive, and I'm going to say it again, proactive self care. Of course, it's okay to be reactive because it's better that you take care of yourself at some point rather than never. But proactive is the best way. Get ahead of it. Take care of yourself before you get burnt out. Proactive. Take the initiative ahead of time so that you decrease the likelihood of burnout happening in the first place. No one wants to always be in emergency mode, right? If I'm proactive with saving money, then when an emergency happens, I can take care of it rather than me not being proactive. I never saved money. Now there's an emergency. I have to be reactive. I have to take on extra hours. I have to stay overnight at work. I have to miss one other bill to compensate for this bill because the charge will be higher on this one. Now I'm being reactive. Sure, I'm going to take care of it, but it's so much better to be ahead of the curve, right? It's so much better to be ahead of the issue. So take those walks, feed your body, say no, set those boundaries, treat yourself. And there's a difference between treating yourself and overindulgence, but that's another video. Do your hair, do your nails, take an extra long shower, get a massage, go get a haircut, brother. All right? Self-care in all kind of ways, even like I said, beyond the haircuts and the bubble baths. Self-care is being around people who value you, setting boundaries, proper nutrition, moving your body, keeping yourself active. Okay. So I want to know, what does self-care look like for you on a normal week versus a hard week? Do you drop off? Right? Which one's more common? Are you doing self-care on your normal weeks, even when everything's cool? Or are you only trying to do self-care when the week was hard? Now I need some self-care. You should be doing it during both times. Okay. And I'll reframe again. I won't say should, but I encourage that you're doing it at both times. Okay. Following up with self-care, what's your nutrition look like? Are you moving your body? What is your sleep like? Okay, these are pieces of you that help regulate your mood. They get you to be more productive. They decrease stress. And when you don't take care of these areas, then everything becomes harder to manage. And when things are harder to manage, that's when you feel burnout. Need I say more? Just journal out of nutrition, movement, and sleep, which one has slipped away from you? Which one do you need to improve just a little bit more or a lot a bit more? You also might be experiencing burnout because you're disorganized, lack of planning, lack of meaningful engagement. These are three different areas. I just put them in the same one, but being disorganized, everything's scattered, everything in your mind is disorganized, and your phone is disorganized, on your computer is disorganized, your room is disorganized. That leads to burnout. That's just mentally taxing, and it gets exhausting. Okay. I'll go further into that in a next video, but just know, lack of planning. You're kind of just being reactive to life, doing what's next right in front of you. Step back, plan some things out so you understand what this is going to look like, how much time things are going to take, what kind of breaks you're going to need. Is the beginning of my day going to be a little more taxing, a little more heavy, and the second part of my day is going to be more relaxing? Plan some things out so that you can set up your schedule in a way that supports your well-being. And lack of meaningful engagement, well, this just means not doing stuff that makes you feel good. All right. So I challenge you to find something that puts you in a flow state to do some meaningful engagement. How do you know if you're in a flow state? Also, what is a flow state? Flow state is when you're in an activity and you're with the activity. You're not doing the activity. The activity is not forcing you. You feel like you're with it and you're locked in, and you're either losing track of time or you feel like you could be here forever in a good way. So the best way to find something that'll put you in a flow state like that is to pick an activity that is equally challenging and interesting and has some sort of goal. Okay. For me, Lego sets, assembling furniture. It's challenging, it's interesting, and at the end, there will be a castle, right? Or at the end, there will be a desk or a chair. That's how you get in flow state. And when I'm building a Lego set, I lose track of time. I'm not ruminating. I'm not thinking about other thoughts and all these things. I'm focused. I'm in the zone. So you want to decrease burnout? Do more things that provide meaningful engagement. All right, another reason you might be experiencing burnout is because you're unaware of burnout in the first place, because it's a habit. I've always operated at this level of capacity. Go, 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 go. I've been that way. Or maybe because of cultural norms. No one ever told you that you shouldn't be overexerting yourself like that. It's been normal, right? So pay attention to that. And I want you to actually reflect, did you grow up around people who didn't allow you to be exhausted? Or people who didn't allow themselves to be exhausted. Sometimes we learned because we saw how other people operated. What was the expectation around being productive? What did that teach you about what it means to rest? Think about it. And the last thing we'll discuss in today's video is not being yourself. That can lead to burnout. Putting on a mask all day, not being authentic, denying your own interests, denying your own values, not speaking up for yourself, not knowing who you are. These things can actually cause you to feel more burnout. So pay attention to that and be more authentic. Learn a little more about yourself so that you can show up more authentically. I challenge you to look up Carl Jung's individuation and learn a little about that. It's where you grab all the different pieces of yourself, the pieces that you suppress and the pieces that you put on as a mask, your ego, your inner self, and you let them all mingle and meet so that you can be the most true version of yourself when you go out in the world. That's how you decrease burnout. So I really wanted to come here and just tell you the whys. I only gave you 11 reasons, but I'm pretty sure there's more. But the why I'm feeling burnout, just to at least bring some awareness. Let's start here because most people move through life without recognizing the why for years. So let's tap in. And now that we've named the why behind why burnout happens, next we're going to go deeper into understanding how burnout actually shows up in your life, in your productivity, your emotional regulation, your relationships, and your sense of self. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll catch you in the next video when the mind clicks.